What's up, guys? This is a crippler, Chris Lieben, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
So, UFC Vegas 20, Rozenstruik, depends on who you ask, potato. I prefer Rozenstruik versus Gane. I know that we have a moment of silence, right, Will?
Yeah, we got a decent moment of silence for this one. Alex Oliveira was supposed to fight. That fight didn't happen. Angela Hill versus Ashley Yoder got pulled like right before the card started because I guess someone in Yoder's camp tested positive for COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, Barcelos was supposed to fight Marcelo Rojo. That would have been a cool fight. Emily Whitmire was supposed to fight Hannah Cyphers and Sam Hughes. Both of those fell through. Randy Brown was also supposed to fight Alex Oliveira, which would have been super cool. Sunsao was supposed to fight Barcelos. Sunsao pulled out. Would have been good. Really good fight was Alonzo Menefield versus William Knight. That didn't happen. Menefield tested positive for COVID. And then the one that broke my heart the most, Dominic Reyes versus the dime piece,
the man
Yuri Denisa Prohaska.
God, that would have been such a good fight. It's been rescheduled, right? All the fights you just named off right now, that's like a card.
Yeah,
there's an entire card that was canceled. That's
there was nine fights that were canceled, and there was 9 fights that went through. So
an entire card that was canceled.
An entire card. Could you imagine if some of those fights were on here too?
And that's just what I was about to say, right?
Yeah.
Just looking at the card as a whole, I think I told you earlier, I'll never be mad at a card again because I just respect everything that goes into fighting, right? And what these fighters do. Is this a card I'll look back at and say, like, hey, Rich the Casual, you need to tune into UFC Vegas 20 and you're hooked. Or, hey, I'm bored right now, or I'm working on clean the house or something. Let me have a card on in the background. This probably won't be one.
Yeah.
Just saying.
This card is one of those ones where we had kind of a showcase of a potential rising star in the Lawrence fight. We had a nice kind of back and forth close fight in the Alex Hernandez versus Moises fight. We got to see Bruce Leroy do some Bruce Leroy shit. We had a banger in the Munhoz versus Jimmie Rivera fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in the co-main and the main, I think looking back on this card, probably not like the most rewatchable fights in their careers, but both fighters showcased things that kind of solidified them as like the real deal when we all kind of thought they were, and we kind of got that like assurance now, which is important, right? But like you said, probably not one that you're going to go back and like rewatch.
Dana didn't seem too entertained. I'll tell you that right now.
Honestly, I have my opinions on that, but
yeah, it is what it is, right? So I know we're not going to cover the Jacoby versus Grisham fight, but I did want to point out Grisham missed weight by 6 pounds, and this is the best part to me, though. This is the best part. So he steps on the scale, right? He's supposed to weigh in at 205, and they're like 211, and he goes, "Oh shit, let me step off the scale right now." Takes his chain off, takes his mask off, and steps back on the scale, and they're like, "Yeah, 205, no, 210.5," and he's like, "What?" I'm like, bro, if you have a fucking chain on that weighs 6 pounds, what are you doing? Yeah. But so I definitely had to mention that. That's the first time I've ever seen a fighter miss weight by 6 pounds, and they're like, "Oh, I know what it is."
I know what.
Nah, dude.
Well, you've seen like someone miss weight by like a couple pounds, and then they're like, "Oh, let's just strip down even the underwear off," and then all of a sudden they make weight, and it's like, "Wait a sec, what's going on?" There's no way
some fucking thick
pair
cotton,
of underwear was
thick.
It's that cotton blend. Yeah.
So the
blend
first fight we're going to cover is with lead. Is that what you said? Yeah. Cachero versus Lawrence. So what do you think about that fight?
Dude, and this is the one where it's like a potential like rising star right here in Lawrence, dude. Some guy who has talked about how he feels like every time he fights, he's being counted out. He's fighting guys that are supposed to beat him, and he goes and showcases what he can do. They talk about how everybody he knows thinks that he has way more potential than he actually has, which is interesting, right? Usually it's that mindset of I beat everybody, and that's how you get to the top, is that mindset kind of carries you through. Not really the mindset from Lawrence, but maybe it should be, because Jesus, dude, this guy's an animal.
He's an animal. Grueling pace, nonstop pressure from Lawrence. I had a question for you on this fight. I believe the referee was Mark Smith.
I don't think, was it Mark Smith or was it
I don't remember. Whoever it was. Do you think this was somewhat of a late stoppage?
Yes. I do.
Okay.
This was Yves Levine.
Yves Levine. Got it. Okay.
Per Tapology, at least. Yeah, terrible stoppage.
Dude, I was watching that, and my wife's sitting there, and she's like, why is he stopping it? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's like, well, he's not doing anything. And I was like, yeah, he's just getting punched repeatedly in the head, unanswered shots. So I think he could have been stopped a lot sooner. And I don't want that to be the story in this case, but yeah, definitely a good performance from Lawrence.
Well, what was cool for me is we knew from his last fight that his chain wrestling is really good, right? That he's constantly attacking with the takedown. If that doesn't work, you move on to the next sequence, then the next sequence until you get it, right? And he does that really well. And a lot of people don't have the cardio for chain wrestling like that, but clearly he does, because he went into the third and looked exactly the same, didn't slow down whatsoever. But on top of the chain wrestling, you see some pretty good striking in there. That turning side kick to the body that winced him real bad, right?
Right on the liver, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude. So the fact that, that's not an easy strike to land, right? Maybe it's easier when the guy's expecting takedowns and is more focused on defending takedowns. But yeah, man, great performance by somebody trying to break into the sport,
And they were saying that Cachero was actually really good in soccer coming up too, and had some scholarship offers as well.
In Santa Clara, I think they said.
Yeah, Santa Clara. Yeah. And they're like, he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna fight."
Yeah.
Hey, so props to him, man, taking the tougher road. Some would say the tougher road. All right, the next fight with Alexander Hernandez versus Thiago Moises. This was a fun fight, man.
I like this fight.
This was a really fun fight.
Yeah, Alex Hernandez has so many tools, man. He has so many tools. I just think, I think we've talked about it before. Something's up with the mindset there. You know what I mean? I think since
who broke
that Cowboy fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cowboy broke that mindset, because Hernandez leading up to that Cowboy fight was a fucking world beater.
Yeah.
And he seemed pretty unstoppable. Might have gone in there with a little too much confidence against one of the best to ever do it in Cowboy. And Cowboy did more than just humble that kid, man.
Yeah. He won his last fight with a first round knockout, right? But he also lost to Drew Dober, which I think in hindsight isn't really the end of the world, right? Drew Dober's looking like he's putting everything together right now in his career. But yeah, like you said, the cockiness is just it seems almost now like a fake cockiness, because it's still kind of there, but he loses to Cowboy, loses to Dober, gets a win over Gritzmacher, cool, and now we're here. And Moises, it was a close fight, right? I think there was a unanimous decision, but that's the problem with unanimous decisions. You hear unanimous decision, and you think, oh, he must have been a dominant performance. Not necessarily. All 3 rounds could have been fairly close. Yeah, third round definitely was. He started running through him a little bit.
Oh yeah, and that's when you see Moises' confidence really start to show, when he kept on talking to him,
putting his hands
up, let's go, putting his hands up. Yeah, he
high kicked him a couple times.
Low leg kick, high kick, and he's just like, come on, let's do this. But I thought it was a really good fight for Thiago Moises, and you see, they were talking about how Alexander Hernandez going into the fight said, "I feel like I have the advantage in the ground." I think it's one of those confidence things where he says it, but he doesn't believe it. Because when you see his stance was so much lower than the previous fights that he had, probably worried about the takedown because he doesn't want anything on the ground. And then you see the opposite from Moises, where standing tall, trying to use his range, right? Yeah, exactly. And he says if he tries to take me down, it's his loss.
Yeah.
Right. So again, actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And Hernandez was aggressive, but I love the fact that Moises had an answer for like every shot that Hernandez
really
was throwing his way. Hernandez would come in, and Moises would just answer with a quick right down the middle.
Yeah.
So it was a really fun fight.
Yeah, he was blooding him up too, and by the end of the fight, Hernandez just looked puzzled, like he just didn't have an answer for anything in that third round. Did you see the Instagram messaging after this fight?
Between who and who?
Between the two of them.
No, what was it?
Hernandez posted a picture of them at weigh-ins where they're both smiling and Dana's smiling right in between them, right? With the caption of "I'm laughing, Dana's laughing. Thiago doesn't get it. He will though." Thiago comments on it saying, "Who's laughing now?" Fucking brutal, dude.
Hey, you know what? Props to Thiago Moises, man. Props. That's a very nice way to come back. But yeah, overall, good fight. And when
definitely.
we take a look at the fights that started off, when this one came on, I was like, here we go. We're starting to get a little more action, a little more activity. Yeah. And then the next fight here was Caceres versus Croom. Mm-hmm. So I picked Caceres going into this fight.
Hell yeah.
Story of the fight, we've had some direct communication with Caceres. Hopefully he comes on at some point in time. We'll see.
Yeah.
But looking at Croom and the fact that Croom's working with the James Krause, I was like, okay, maybe we can expect a little more from Croom than I thought. Croom seemed to be willing to eat some shots to get close.
Yeah. It was. You have to, right? You have to be able to take shots in order to close the distance. But with no movement. No movement, just coming right at him, and Caceres was able to tag him, take out the angle, kind of matador him a little bit.
And that's the thing, no risk, no reward. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're just walking straight to the guy,
and you can't do that against Caceres.
Bink, bink, couple shots to the dome.
Caceres is just his understanding of range, right? He's so lanky and he uses it well, and his footwork is good enough where his like I said, he could be the matador in there if he needs to. And then even, I mean, this was I don't remember what the scorecards were. I know it was unanimous. But even when Croom would take him down, did nothing with the top control. Caceres, even when he was on his back, I think was winning the fight. Having that nasty triangle for a little bit.
Dude, and it looked like it was so tight too. And the announcers were shocked when they're like, "What? He got out?" But I thought that was so smart of Caceres, because if he knew, like, dude, like, this is probably as tight as I'm going to be able to get this right now. If he slips out, I'm in a bad position.
Dude,
let me get him back in my guard.
I was exactly in that situation in that tournament in Alameda.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I did the opposite. So when he did that, I was like, I didn't let him slip out. He slipped out. But but once he did slip out, because I gave everything I could on that triangle, and it was locked up. I don't know what else I could have done. Now in hindsight, I should have walked away with my shoulders, right, to pull his head forward and stuff like that. But he got out, and then my legs were completely gassed, and I had nothing left in the tank. And I was like, well, this is what that's like. Okay, cool. And then so when he did that, I was like, it must be one of those situations where he knew he wasn't going to finish with it. It was early in the fight. I'm not going to blow my legs out.
And that's the experience again from Caceres. I think we
the lack of experience from me, the total experience from Bruce Leroy.
But and I think that's where we forget that Caceres has been doing this for a while, man.
Long time.
Long
time. I remember watching his backyard fights back in the day, dude.
He looks super young. I love, again, his energy coming into the octagon when Bruce is announcing his name. Yeah. And he just has a giant smile on his face. Like, he enjoys being in there. Love watching him fight. Third round, Croom just looked exhausted.
No, nothing in the tank.
Nothing in the tank, man.
Because even when he was on top, Caceres was making him work. He's actively attacking. He's stuck defending rather than being able to mount his own offense and making Caceres defend. And every time he was coming in, like you said, he was getting lit up, dude. He was getting lit up. Yeah, Caceres, man, he's really, that's 4 wins in a row, dude. That's Like you said, with the smiling and stuff when they're announcing his name and all that kind of stuff, it seems like he's really kind of come into his own at this point, because he kind of grew up in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, he had fights, like I said, the backyard fights and stuff like that, but he got into the UFC very young, and was fighting killers early. And it seems like now he's kind of in this place where his mindset is like correct with what works for him, you know? Yeah, you love to see it.
And he called for a ranked opponent, and I think it's time. Get him a ranked opponent.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely time. It's definitely time, because I mean, you look at who he's fought, and like he doesn't lose to lackluster fighters. You know, he just doesn't. So let's get him up there again.
So that right there, I believe, was Caceres' 30th fight. Again, we forget how experienced this guy is, right? So Caceres, if you end up watching this, we're waiting. Patiently.
We're waiting. We never got to nail down that date, but
yeah, we're waiting. Come join us. Come join us. All right. So the next fight.
Listen, you want to make it 5 in a row? Everybody who's on here so far has won their next fight. Let's make it 5 in a row.
Caceres, seriously, right? You're gonna fight a ranked opponent next. Get that story of the fight luck behind you, and hop on the podcast. Let's do this once and for all. All right, Munhoz versus Rivera, fight of the night right here.
Fight of the night.
Slanging and banging.
Yeah, and seriously, man.
Rivera just throws so much power behind all of his shots.
Not just the power, but man, his fucking hand speed on his combos was overwhelming Pedro for a while, dude. Like, early on in the fight, he was winning the exchanges with his hands. He's so fast, and you're getting hit with multiple strikes that you're just stuck defending. But Munhoz with an excellent game plan, you know.
Low leg kick.
Persevered,
the calf kick. The calf kick again, and I think it was John Anik that was just like, we continue talking about the calf kick. It's like, it's just taking over mixed martial arts right now. It's like, fighters have been doing it for some time, but I think there's a little more emphasis on it now, and especially after the McGregor fight, because he's such a big name, and you saw what the calf kicks did to him, where everybody's like, what? Calf kicks? This has been going on for a minute, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the Demetrius fight against Cejudo was a big eye-opener for a lot of people, right? When he killed his foot.
You had the Chandler fight as well in Bellator.
The Chandler fight, Sean O'Malley. It's just one of those things that continues to happen now. And Pedro Munhoz took advantage of that, right? And I was talking to Katie about it while the fight was going on, and I was telling her, like, I was just explaining it to her right now, like how that's like the new thing that everybody's like freaking out about, right? And I was explaining like how devastating it can be, and she's like, "Well, that kind of sucks because it's like it's not the hardest strike to land, right? It's not like you have to. It's not like it's like, oh, spinning back kicks are really devastating. We know this, but they're also hard as fuck to land. So it kind of like balances that out. Calf kicks are relatively easy to throw, right? And they're very hard to defend. She's like, that sucks because it seems like it's kind of like not cheating, but it seems like almost like cheap, right?" And I was like, I understand that, like 100% I understand that, but that's the kind of stuff that continues to happen in MMA as it grows, that eventually people are going to be aware of that, and it'll be neutralized, and it'll kind of fade away a little bit. It'll be around forever, right? But people's stances are going to be adapting to the calf kick because you can't really check it the way you can check a low kick, like a traditional low kick. You almost have to evade it, right? So I think movement and stance switching and things like that are going to become much more like prevalent because of it.
For sure.
And if you don't adapt, then you're Jimmie Rivera in this fight. Yeah,
I think about like a Nick Diaz, who just don't like checking kicks in general, and just being what we're going to see a lot more of that, where fighters will just come in and they'll just focus on that leg right away if they see that you don't evolve to what's going on right now.
Because why wouldn't you?
So
why wouldn't you attack that?
The one thing I really would have loved to see Rivera do against Munhoz is lead a lot more with the right uppercut.
Yeah, because it was open.
Munhoz had the high guard, and since Rivera was coming in straight, he would do this a lot. And so he would walk up, and as soon as Rivera would feint, he would switch like this.
Yeah.
And in the third round, he came in once. He feinted,
nice
came in with a lead right uppercut, and he caught him. And I was like, dude, there it is. I've been saying this since the second round. That's your opportunity. Went away from it and just kept on trying to come in with some hooks and some straights. You know, and again, I know it's a lot easier sitting on my couch while I'm drinking my whiskey to be like, hey, that's open. You know, get him with the uppercut. Yeah. And Rivera after the very first round, walks back limping and says, my calf's killing me.
Yeah.
You know, instantly. And then the guy with the green hair that looks like my boy Jermaine. Hey, shout out
put some respect, dude. That's Luis Galdino.
So Luis Galdino looks like my boy Jermaine, and I told my boy Jermaine last night, get some green hair going, and that's exactly what you look like.
Yeah, Ultimate Fighter alone, dude.
He's like, you gotta move, man. Hot feet. Move in, move out. You know, you gotta get your movement going. And Rivera was like, where do I move?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's where we know we're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
That right there, you know.
Well, how about the advice?
Because
the advice after the second round was, I don't care if your leg's fucking killing you. Get in there and fucking knock him out because you need to.
Yeah.
and gnarly,
he came out more aggressive, too, in the third round. Again, I just wish he would have led a little bit more with that right. But, dude, overall, what a fight, man. What
a great fight. You know, both of them, adjustments were being made, right? Because anytime Rivera would go in with his combos, if Munhoz wasn't attacking the leg in the exchange, he was winning the exchanges. It was only when Munhoz was taking that leg out from under him, like mid combo, that he was winning the exchanges. So it was just like back and forth, and it was really, as compromised as the leg was, man, Rivera's mental toughness just kept him in the fight the whole way, because it could have ended at any minute with the combos he was throwing. You know, he was never
McGregor was probably taking notes right now, watching that fight. He was like,
I don't think he can. I don't know. I don't think you can get anything from it.
Great fight. And then the sportsmanship at the end, where like
they
hug each other and they're laughing, and Munhoz points at his calf. He's like, dude, look at my damage. And Rivera like points and he's like, I see it. He's like, look at mine. And they're just like going back and forth, dude. I freaking loved it, man.
Same. It was awesome.
All right, so the next fight, De La Rosa versus Bueno Silva, the fight of the women with multiple last names.
Yeah.
Okay, how'd you see this fight?
Not a draw.
Who'd you have winning?
I had Bueno Silva winning.
You have Bueno Silva winning?
Yeah, I had because man, De La Rosa did nothing. She got takedowns occasionally, but dude, even with the point deduction, how?
What do you think in 29-27?
Maybe. Bueno Silva definitely won the second and third rounds, in my opinion. You know, it's just... yeah, maybe 28-27, I don't know. I think one of the judges had it 28-27. I mean, it wasn't even... Other than, takedowns with nothing at the end of them, what did De La Rosa even offer? You know what I mean? She was getting lit up, dude. She was getting chewed up in the clinch. Those knees, the elbows. She was getting fucked up the whole fight. You know, it's like, I get it. Takedowns should count, but they should not count more than that. You know?
Yep. The ref work, I love the fact, though, that he took the point right away.
Everybody's talking about that. Yeah, everybody's talking about that, but...
In what sense? Or are they saying that they don't agree with it? Or are they saying they agree
no, that
with
it was great. That it was great. And great job reffing. The guy did his job.
Yeah, but the problem is that
the
we
bar
don't
is so
see it
low.
that often. That's the problem. We don't see it often enough, right? Where Smith says, hey,
crazy.
It was obvious, it was blatant, that you holding the cage prevented the takedown and taking the point away.
Yeah.
If this was Herb Dean, and I love Herb Dean, but I feel like we would have seen him go up, smack the hands, and be like, let go of the cage. Or
I feel like he
would have given a stern warning.
In that one, it was so clear that it stopped a takedown. I feel like any ref would have taken a point because it was so obvious. I like to think at least. Fuck, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But, and who was it that Chris Lieben fought? Was it Terry Martin that he fought when he? It was either Terry Martin or it was Sexyama when he was like, I'm going to lose by decision anyways, but I'm not going to get taken down. I'll eat this point and try for a knockout. And he just grabbed grabbed the fence like this over the top to like stop a takedown. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's a different type of strategy. I mean, yeah. Chris Leben, shout out Chris Leben.
If you know you're down already, if I win this round, I'm still going to lose. So I might as well just take the point because I'm not going to knock him off my back. But I don't know. I'm glad the point was taken away, but I don't think it should have cost a win. You know what I mean? Now both these fighters don't get their win bonus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
but
sucks.
They still fought.
And you see Bueno Silva take De La Rosa over to the cage by Dana White, and she was saying, "Hey, give us our win money, give us our because they're getting their show money." But that's one of the things that when I think about the pay system within the organization, where it just sucks, man, because De La Rosa didn't do too much, but dude, it still takes a lot to get in there and to fight. Bueno Silva had a great performance, and they're not getting their win bonus. So
yeah. And I think this fight honestly also has to do with a lot of like the perception of the card as a whole because of its placement on the card. If we went Pedro Munhoz versus Rivera into the Ankalaev fight and then into the Ciryl Gane fight, I think the perception of the card would have been a little bit different. And I know people we'll talk about the Ankalaev fight, but it was a showcase of what a ref's job should be every time and like how you're supposed to do your job as a ref. It's just crazy, and I'm not blaming anybody for giving him props for it, right? Because like he deserves it, right? But it's just crazy that there's so many people that are like, it's so refreshing to see that a ref take a point away for a foul. That so many people are going out like this, and nobody's stopping and saying, "Wait a sec, we shouldn't even be praising him for this. He just did his job." But again, here we are
because there's specific refs where you see warning after warning after warning. Then you have the refs out there like Smith right now, who, again, it was obvious, takes a point away. Refs like Herzog that are really good, but like you continue saying Herzog's the best ref in the business. We expect that from Herzog. Yeah. From everybody else.
Yeah, jury's still kind of out on a lot of refs. Because we just see so much. And it sucks for the fighters too, honestly, because they don't know. It's like they're fighting under different rules every time they fight, depending on what ref they have.
That's true.
And different scoring depending on what judges they have. Like, how are you supposed to go into a fight and think it's a completely different sport you're in? You know what I mean? Every time you fight, it's completely different, so you never know.
And it's not the
precedent needs to be
only
set.
Sport. It's not the only sport where we take a look at. So as a team, when you're walking out there, do you know who the judges are? Do you know who your ref is? And do you say, okay, if we're going in and these judges are going to be out there, this is what we're going to look for, and vice versa? Because in baseball, for example, pitchers know I have a wider strike zone right now.
Yeah. Or 100%. In Verlander, I can throw balls all day, and they're going to call them strikes, regardless of what the
Dude, I got to hit on Verlander right away.
Fuck Verlander, dude. Fucking cheater.
All right, so let's move on to Ankalaev versus Krylov.
Yeah, I think Ankalaev is the future champ. I still think he is. But people are kind of shitting on this performance a little bit, but not me at all, because he's shown that he can take people out early and do all that stuff. Now we know he can go 3 solid rounds of a grueling fight against someone who's very tough. Mix in grappling, you know what I mean? He did everything he needed to do in this fight. Lost the first round. But
so you had it first round Krylov and rounds 2 and 3 to Ankalaev.
Ankalaev, I did, yeah. Okay. Did you have that?
Exact same thing.
Yeah, because Krylov did a great job in that first round of staying on the outside and being first. And it seemed like it was such a good path to victory right at the beginning, because not only was he first, but he wasn't throwing one-off shots. He was throwing kicks. He was ending his combos with kicks. He was going in with multiple punches. And Ankalaev was looking for his counter, right? Because he's a pretty damn good counter striker. But he just couldn't get the timing because there was so much coming at him. and it was so varied. He wasn't throwing the same combo every time. He was ending with different kicks, throwing body kicks, leg kicks, high kicks. So he was really, really mixing it up, and it was like, oh, this might be the hole in Ankalaev's game where maybe you have to overwhelm him and never let him get off, and stay on the outside, and because it's hard to be a counter striker when you're in the center. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can do it obviously, but it's harder. But his timing was so good. Krylov's was. And then I was like, either one of two things are going to happen. He's going to continue doing this for the whole fight and just outwork him, and Ankalaev it's never going to get off. Or Ankalaev is just reading right now. He's just downloading in this first round, and we're going to see him with answers in the second. And I think that's what happened. And that ultimately for me, because we know he can land the one-shot knockout. You know what I mean? We've seen it so many times.
Yep.
But we haven't seen him make changes and adapt to an opponent mid-fight and change his game on the fly and come up with answers. And now we know he can do that too. So it's not like, oh, if he can't get the knockout, he's lost. Now we know he's got tools, you know what I mean? So I think this was a very impressive performance for him. That people are knocking on it for not being the most exciting fight, but dude, when he's what, 15-1 or something like that, on the path to a title fight. Now, this is where we start asking questions of not only can he be a contender, but can he be a champion? And I feel like he kind of showed that, you know?
So with the Ankalaev and Krylov fight, this was one where Krylov was the underdog coming in as a higher ranked opponent. Pedro Munhoz coming in as a higher ranked opponent also came in as an underdog. So it was
interesting. Munhoz was an underdog against Rivera. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe it was like plus 130, plus 160, something around there. But
I wish I knew that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I was talking to my buddy Ricardo at work, and I told him Munhoz. I told him because they were supposed to fight last week. And remember, I told you I had that parlay. Yeah. And this was part of my parlay, was picking Pedro Munhoz over Rivera. So going into this week, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, Munhoz, don't forget, this is the fight I told you. Munhoz, lock him in. You know what I mean?" So
turn the key, dude. Because man, what a parlay could have been with Caceres. I thought Caceres was going to win that fight easily,
for sure.
Munhoz, I thought Ankalaev and Ciryl Gane. Damn. Obviously, they're not all underdogs, but they just had that parlay. Every time, hindsight. But
all right, so this is the fight, man. I was looking forward to this fight all week.
Wait, are we moving on, or are you still on? What did you think about Ankalaev? I talked a lot about him, and I never let you talk.
Well, I don't want to repeat it. I think the exact same thing. He was able to make adjustments when needed. Going into this, I was really confident. Ankalaev coming in, I believe, the 11th ranked in light heavyweight, and Krylov coming in the 8th. That Ankalaev's just underranked right now, and I still believe that he's going to be underranked even after.
Because he got held up, So he got held up with the trilogy and all the bullshit, and not trilogy, but the Kutalava saga.
The trilogy. The saga, man. Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of glad it did, because it was a fun saga to talk about, but it didn't do much for his career. You know?
Well, I mean, I don't know. The light heavyweight division, man, is fucking really cool right now, and it's like boiling. You know what I mean? It's like it's about to pop off, because with Izzy and Jan's fight, whatever happens there, if Jan can get the win, I think it's better for the division, because Jan's got a murderer's row coming after him right now. Yeah, I'm really excited. There's some matchups in there.
Listening to Kevin Holland and Luter on the Rogan podcast. Did you hear it?
You mean you were listening to Luter on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah, pretty much. That was mainly it. But listening to Holland and Luter both say that they believe Izzy's going to stay at the light heavyweight division if he ends up winning there. I mean, that's a possibility. And if he ends up staying there, I think that's better for the division than Blachowicz keeping the title. Have you seen that picture he posted of him holding the rope? A piece of the rope? Dude, okay, so I knew that he would go back to the site and touch the tree. I didn't know this fucker kept a piece of the rope.
Yeah, dude.
That's next level creepy.
I know, dude. He's got dark forces. He's got the
dark arts.
The dark arts behind him, dude.
The dark arts. Damn.
But dude, I think it's good no matter what happens with this fight, the Izzy versus Jan fight, if the winner stays in that division.
Yeah.
Because, dude, if Jan beats Izzy as his first title defense,
that's a big win.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Big win.
And then if he can take out people like Jimmie, Prochaska, Magomed Ankalaev, like, dude.
We got to get going with this because in our 2021 predictions, your boy over here said Jimmie Prochaska is going to be the light heavyweight champion at the end of the year. So in order for our predictions to come true, we got to speed this up, Jimmie. Come on.
Yeah, and how could you not forget about Glover Teixeira, dude? Jan versus Glover Teixeira is the fight to make. And then
that's right.
But you know what I mean? That division is just like, it's trying to go, but this whole super fight thing is kind of holding it back a little bit because Jan should be fighting Glover next. That's what should be happening, but it's not. But if, it's just interesting. I want to see what happens because I hate when divisions get held up because of these super fights, especially when they're premature like this. It's kind of.
Hey, it's entertaining though. It's entertaining.
I mean, I'm going to watch.
Yeah. All right. So, like I was saying, I was looking forward to this fight with Ciryl Gane and Rozenstruik.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think it would go the way it did. I didn't think it was going to go all 5 rounds. I had told a few folks I think it's going to be finished in the 2nd or 3rd round. But Ciryl Gane, man, showed his patience, excellent understanding of his range, and his movement, man. I'm just so impressed with movement. Like we recently talked about Aspinall and how he moves like a light heavyweight. Dude, Ciryl Gane out here is moving like a middleweight.
He moves like a lightweight, dude. That jab.
Dude.
His hand speed is fucking nuts, man. Like, I didn't really expect him to knock out Rozenstruik.
Rozenstruik or Rozenstruik. Neither.
Yeah, either of them, But I thought this could have very easily turned into an Alistair Overeem versus Rozenstruik fight where, you know what I mean, where he's winning pretty much every round and then 10 seconds left, he just lands a big shot.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he was waiting for too.
Yeah, and he just couldn't figure out the puzzle, man. And people are kind of shitting on Ciryl Gane. Dana kind of did a little bit. People are saying, like, this was his coming out party. Why did he not want... And the commentary was terrible in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the worst commentary I ever heard in the UFC, honestly. Talking about how this is his time. They're, like, talking about how Ciryl Gane, this is his showcase, his first main event. He should be trying to become a superstar, all this stuff. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Mm-hmm. This is the heavyweight division. Overeem literally did this against Rozenstruik and then got knocked out, allegedly. But you don't think Ciryl Gane's coming out party?
Split open, but
yeah, you don't think Ciryl Gane's coming out party was his fight against Junior Dos Santos, the former champ, and knocking him out? That's his coming out party. You know what I mean? This is his steady climb through the rankings until he's a contender. And now we're in the point where you don't take these chances at heavyweight. Why? To get a knockout? You know you can knock people out. What we don't know is, can you go 5 rounds and not get hit cleanly once? That's what he did. That's what he did.
He seemed like he could go another 2 rounds, man. He looked fantastic.
Dude, his footwork, his understanding, and in the small cage, that benefits Rozenstruik. That does not benefit Ciryl Gane in this fight. The small cage. And every time Rozenstruik would come in, he'd turn the corner, shoot on the single leg, and then he was back. And he's landing his jab. And he's switching his stance. And he's landing his lead hand now. And, dude, he showed every single tool that he needs to show I'm a complete heavyweight. There's a lot of heavyweights that get by on their power that are not complete. But Ciryl Gane is super complete. You know what I mean? I thought it was... I mean, I'm not going to compare him to, like, Floyd Mayweather, right? But everybody hates on Floyd Mayweather for fighting his style, right? He's a very defensive fighter. But the dude... fucking 50-0 and has been hit hard like 6 times in his career, and at heavyweight, I don't want to get hit hard once because everybody can put you out. Doesn't matter how good you are. So I don't know. I think
Rozenstruik saw last week's fight between Blades and Derek Lewis.
Yeah,
he saw Derek Lewis, but the thing is that Derek Lewis was stalking sometimes.
Yeah,
where he'd move forward a little bit. He'd react to the feints. Derek Lewis would give him a few feints, and he'd threaten with a feint of his own. In this case, Rozenstruik was very stationary.
Dude, he was stuck.
Did not move very much at all. And even with a lot of the feints, they weren't like feints where he was like, okay, you're gonna toss this, I'm gonna hit you with this. It was more like reactions for defense where his hands were going up. So if you are gone and you're feigning and you're seeing no type
purely
of like
defensive reactions,
then I believe that's where the confidence just started building up for Gane more and more, saying, okay, well, I can attack more freely. As the rounds continue going, I'll be able to throw a few more shots, and I won't have to worry too much about Rozenstruik throwing anything hard my way. And the times that Rozenstruik decided to actually take some steps forward and try to be first, he did okay. But
all right.
he was just so stationary, flat-footed, didn't move very much.
And it's because Gane's footwork and his angles, and he's snapping that jab. I mean, that might be, honestly, dude, that might be the best heavyweight jab I've ever seen in the UFC. Dude,
super fast.
It's so fast, and he's right back to where he was. Right back. Yep. And he's not just jabbing your face, he's jabbing the back of your head. He's snapping your head back. He's punching through you. Dude, I'm so impressed with his performance. I get it wasn't the most exciting fight, but now we know that Ciryl Gane is legit. He pretty much confirmed everything I thought about him in the past. You know what I mean? Dude, he's just...
So last night was
and when you're winning handedly...
night, right? Yeah?
When you're winning handedly, it's not on you to take chances.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to take any chances. It's on Rozenstruik to take the chances. And I'm not saying Rozenstruik should have taken chances and he didn't. I don't think he could. I don't think there was any chances. I think Ciryl Gane stopped those chances.
Yeah, so like I was saying right now, it was a chill night last night. Didn't have anybody over, just me and Mindy.
Yeah.
Mindy was sitting on the couch. She's not super into fights, right? So she'll like glance and then she'll be on her phone doing something else, and she was on her phone. And after that first jab, she goes, "I heard that one."
Dude.
Because it landed flush and it sounded like
was crazy.
A smack right on his face. So lightning fast jab. I thought it was a really dominant performance by Gane. I think that after this, I don't view this as a bad fight where he should have lost movement. No. I still see him as a rising star, and I just start thinking about different matchups in my head. I'm like, well, will he be able to do this against some of the folks that are ranked higher than him right now, right? And let's see. Man, I don't know. Like, who would you put him up against next?
You either, if there wasn't all this heavyweight bullshit going on with the belt, right? It's you have him fight Volkov or you have him fight Lewis, and the winner fights for the title, right? If the title wasn't already booked on all this stuff, that's what you do. Because who's he gonna fight? You know what I mean? At this point, you don't have him fight Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is on a loss. He needs to go higher. You have him fight Derek Lewis. Or you have him fight Volkov. Both coming off wins. Now's the time, dude. Now's the time. Him versus Volkov is a very fun fight.
That's a fun fight, man. That is
very fun fight.
Now,
and
Curtis Blades
Lewis
is ranked third right now. Might need to take some time off after that knockout. Derek Lewis, maybe Ciryl Gane versus Derek Lewis too. Maybe Volkov versus Lewis rematch, and then I want to know what's going to happen with John. Are they really holding John until we see the Stipe and Ngannou result, and then they fight?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happens. You hold John, and he's never lost. He's never lost. So, I think you hold that, dude. Volkov versus Gane or Lewis versus Gane, and Lewis versus Gane looks a lot like this, except Derek Lewis has that fucking
more dire
innate ability
if he touches you.
Yeah, he has that innate ability to just knock out more skilled fighters than he is. And that's not a knock on him. I'm not saying he's not skilled, but Ciryl Gane is clearly more complete. You know what I mean? But it's one of those fights where Ciryl Gane could be styling.
Again, most dangerous blue belt in Texas, possibly the world.
Yeah, I could easily see Ciryl Gane doing the same exact fight against Lewis and then getting knocked out in the fifth off of like one strike. You know what I mean? Because that's what Derek Lewis does. I think the Volkov versus Gane fight is also against Volkov. I think Volkov versus Gane is the fight to make. I think that's such a fun stylistic matchup, especially where Volkov is in his career. That's a great fight.
Ever
Two
since
Muay Thai strikers.
Samurai tattoo, he's a different man.
It's on, dude.
He's a different man.
On. He put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle, too. Now he's got some pop behind his shots.
Oh, that would be such a fun fight. Hopefully we get to see it soon.
I hope that's the fight.
That's all I got on that fight, man. Do you have anything else?
The only other thing is Did you watch the post-fight press conference?
I just saw the part where they told Gane about the comments that
Broke my
Dana
heart.
White had made.
Broke my heart. Because the language barrier, he thought Dana was stoked. So he was like, yeah, of course that makes me happy. He's the boss. It makes me so happy. And then his translator starts speaking French. He's like, no. He was unhappy with it. And you see Ciryl Gane just like die inside a little bit. He rolled with it well, right? He made some kind of jokes about it, made some funny faces, but that just bums me out, man. This young up-and-coming fighter and
why do
puts
that
on a performance like that, an untouchable performance. It just bums me out.
Yeah, and this, if we're done with this, well, I got one question for you. With Will's wisdom, if you're ready for Will's wisdom.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So we have Tybura, who went through and made some comments, right, and was saying something similar to what you said, where you can have two fighters, where both of them know if I win, I get my win bonus. If I lose, I only get my show money. In this case, Ciryl Gane going in, doing what he has to do to win the fight, and everybody saying that he should have taken more risks to build his star, right? So when you hear this type of criticism coming through, right, what are your overall thoughts on something like that?
Dude, it just bums me out, man, that people, I get it. People want to see knockouts, especially in heavyweight. They want to see knockouts. But every heavyweight can knock everybody out. Not every heavyweight can do what Ciryl Gane did last night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, here it is. So it's not up to the fighter that's winning to show urgency. If you're winning, keep doing what you're doing. I don't understand that narrative. Winning guarantees you twice the amount of money and automatically furthers your career. Why risk that great win by Gane? Why should it be up to the guy that's clearly winning to try to do something risky? Will the fans pay him his win bonus if he doesn't do something reckless and loses because of it? No, they'll probably just tweet about him getting cocky and DM him and Venmo him, request something. I don't know. But, I mean...
That was Tanner Boser that said that, right?
That was Boser.
Yeah, because... Yeah. I mean, he's right. It's stupid to expect that from a fighter. I get it. It's entertainment for us, but this is their livelihood. You know what I mean? And like I said, this does way more for me than a Ciryl Gane knockout. We know two things.
Answers more questions.
Yeah, we know two things. We know Ciryl Gane can knock people out. He has knockouts. We know Rozenstruik can be knocked out. He was knocked out in his last fight. I don't need to see that again because I already know both of those things can happen. What I do need to see, I also know that Rozenstruik can knock the shit out of somebody. You know what I mean? He's got some gnarly knockouts. What I do need to see is, can Ciryl Gane style on somebody for 5 straight rounds and not slow down whatsoever and not even get hit cleanly? That answers way more questions for me than if he came out and starched him or if he knocked him out in the 4th round or whatever it might have been. And it's not, if I'm a heavyweight fighter, I don't give a fuck what the fans want to see. I'm not trying to get killed in there. You're fighting massive people who can change the rest of your life with one punch. That's the reality. So you go in there and you do what you have to do. And in my opinion, it's performances like these that can solidify you as like an all-time great. You know what I mean? If every single Ciryl Gane fight was exactly like this for the rest of his career, people would be talking about how he's the GOAT.
Yep.
You know? People look back at the GSP fights real quick. Just people look back at the GSP fights where the lay and pray was starting to become a factor and he was getting all these wins. During the time, a lot of people wanted to see GSP lose during that era, myself included. I wanted Condit to win. I wanted Hendricks to win. I thought Hendricks won. Going back, it's a lot closer than what I remember. But during that time, I wanted GSP to lose because I was tired of that tactic. Now, I think he's the greatest of all time in the UFC, at least. So during the time, it might not be the most exciting, but then you appreciate what it was later on down the road, and you look back at what GSP did, and you're like, damn, man, he looked untouchable. Yep. You know, I don't care that he wasn't knocking people out. You know what I mean? It's the fact that he did it for so long. So fights like these, obviously, people look at Tyson's career where he's just starching everybody every single fight, and they're like, yeah, he's the greatest of all time. You can do that, right? Ngannou, if Ngannou just knocks everybody out for the rest of his career, people will consider him the GOAT. But likewise, if Ciryl Gane fights like that every single time for the rest of his career, he's going to go down as the GOAT. You know, so it might not be the most fun and an entertaining thing to watch right now, but the reality is it cements his legacy when he has performances like that, because it's hard to do. 25 minutes to not get hit cleanly by a heavyweight, it's hard as fuck. Yep. Not just a heavyweight, but what was Rozenstruik ranked? He had to be top 5, right?
I think it was 4th.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep. So just taking a look at Cyryl's fights here. So first fight, won by front choke. Second one, punches. Third one, uppercut to ground and pound. Arm triangle choke, heel hook. So like you said, we've seen a lot, but being able to say this guy can go 5 rounds with the same energy all the way through is very, very telling. And I think coming out of this,
get hit.
Yeah, and I think coming out of this with the other heavyweights that could potentially be fighting him sooner, this is almost scarier now. This guy can submit me. This guy can knock me out. And this guy can go 5 full rounds, high energy, great footwork the entire time with great defense. Going in now, what's my strategy? You know, so there's so much more in the air now.
Yeah, I see people talking like, people hyping this guy up as like the next big thing, all this stuff, and this is what he does. Boring fight. No, dude, this just further solidifies my opinion of him as being a potential great. You know what I mean? Like this he just showcased the last piece of his puzzle that we needed to see.
Exactly.
There's one more piece. There's one more piece, and it's how he deals with adversity. Because now we know he can wrestle. He has submission wins. He has knockout wins, and we know he can be untouchable and style on you for 5 straight rounds and not tire. With that frame, that's crazy. The only thing we need to see now is him get tested. Right? And it's going to happen eventually.
Like by USADA?
Nah, I think he's all natty, dude. He looks like Anthony Joshua a little bit.
Dude, I was just thinking that too. So that's all I got for the card. Do you have anything else?
No, I think, like I said, I think this card is one of those ones where, like you said, not much rewatch value, but it answered questions.
We learned some things.
Yeah, which is, I'm fine with that, dude. I'm totally fine with that.
I learned that wearing a chain to your weigh-in is not very good. So
not the best strategy.
Not the best strategy. I did want to mention before we finish this up here, we're on Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts now as well, and of course YouTube. If you like, please subscribe, leave us a comment. We also have a community on Facebook called MMA Talk Community by Story of the Fight Podcast, where we can go through and talk about a few different things. George, for example, on there recently, and was talking about a couple of different fights that are coming up and how he's excited for them. So a lot of good things that we could do here and communicate back and forth.
Definitely.
Richard Casual, did you get to watch any fights last night?
I saw that you sent me an Instagram post that said, I got to watch this fight. But I didn't watch the post that you linked. What was that?
That was Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler 2. That's one of the ones that we put down as one of the best fights to watch for a new fan.
It's on the list.
The list is growing.
Right. The list is just growing and growing, yeah. But, man, if that's all you got, Will, that's all I got. We good?
That's all I got.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Story of the Fight this week.